help you decide who you want to vote for in the next upcoming elections. And not, we talk about local elections, so that would be county commission, that would be city council people, school board members, etc. Now, you might be able to use this also on the bigger elections, the statewide elections, or even the national elections. You'd have to change some of the wordings or some of the or just erase some of the cross out some of the questions. But we put together the local candidate scorecard. Now, this is available right now for free, of course, on the WOCA Facebook page.
Yep.
It's downloadable, not a PDF, because I didn't know how to post a PDF.
Yeah, it's hard to do that.
So I posted a what do you call PNG or something?
Yes.
PNG?
Yeah, PNG.
And so it's available as a PNG. And or whatever, or I don't know if we have them here, but we do have them here, but I don't want you to come here to get them.
No.
Anyway, so what this is 20, they're not necessarily questions. You might look at them as questions, but it's 20 things to consider about a candidate to help you decide whether or not you want to vote for him or her. And you score them. And as long as you score them all the same, I don't mean the same number. What I mean is like, well, I'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
But as long as you keep it consistent for each candidate, like let's say each candidate running for the county commission, each candidate running for school board, each candidate, and then take your eyes off of the R and take your eyes off of the D.
Yeah.
Forget about the party. A lot of you just you just turned off your radio because you can't live that way. But I'm telling you, there are some good people in both parties, and we need to look at our candidates this way. And so, this to me is maybe the beginning of an idea that I would like us all to use. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So the way I did it was there are 20 questions plus one bonus question. Each question is worth 5 points. So effectively, you could have a 105 score if you were a perfect candidate. Okay, if you have a perfect candidate, then his name is probably Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
I'm guessing. But there are some categories on here that you might think, well, that really deserves more than 5 points. That should be a 20-point question. Well, that's fine. All you have to do is change it to 20 and just make sure that it's also worth 20 points for everybody else in that same race.
Exactly.
So what it says on the top, a nonpartisan, it's the WOCA local candidate scorecard, a nonpartisan voter tally sheet designed to assist in the selection of the most qualified candidates seeking local positions. All answers are based on a 1 to 5 scale. 5 is the highest score per category. And then, in parentheses, note, the intent of this scorecard is to give you a way to compare the credentials of the candidates. So if you feel the category should have more or less than 5 points, please feel free to adjust accordingly. So now that we understand the scoring system, for the sake of this conversation on the radio, I'm going to give each one 5 points and just leave it at that, okay? So everyone is 5 points, but you can make yours different, okay? So the first category to consider, let's come up with a fictitious name so we're not pulling anybody under the bus or whatever.
Ben-Hur.
Ben-Hur!
There you go.
All right. I don't know anything about Ben-Hur. Okay. Number 1, knowledge of the job required for the position that he or she is seeking. So that would get 5 points. If you feel like Ben-Hur knows the job really, really well, they get 5 points. If it's sort of well, and you will know this stuff by talking to them, by reading interviews with them, by listening to interviews, et cetera. And by the way, this is exactly what Robin and I use when we interview candidates, these same kinds of criteria.
Yeah.
Okay, so 5 points if they know their job that they're about to do really well. Number 2, knowledge of the U.S. Constitution.
Yeah, that's very important.
How well does the candidate, because they have to swear to uphold the Constitution.
Yes, they do.
So I think it's only fitting that they have a knowledge of the U.S. Constitution. Now, because this is a local candidate scorecard, whether the people are running for state office or county office or city office, they should still know the Florida Constitution as well.
Yes, they should.
So the third category to give them a score on 1 to 5 is how well do they know the Florida state Constitution? Okay. I think Ben-Hur would get a 0 on that one.
He would, yeah.
The fourth category, participation in community events not associated with campaigning.
Yeah.
Okay, now this is pretty important, I think.
It is, very.
If you think about some of the things you've attended that were fundraisers, that were community events, I can tell you some of the county commissioners show up at all of them.
Yes.
I can tell you there's other events I've never seen a county commissioner, some commissioners at, unless they were campaigning.
Exactly.
So if you see now,
city council
I am going to bring
members.
one name into this because I see him everywhere. I see Mayor Kent Gwynn everywhere, and he's not campaigning.
Yeah.
So Mayor Kent Gwynn would get a 5 in this category for sure. And I'd even give him an extra 5 because he's everywhere and he's not campaigning at all.
Exactly.
So participation in community events, how important is that to you? So there you go.
It's very important to me.
Number 5 is leadership skills. That is a hard one to analyze. Okay, but you can tell by watching somebody how well of a leader they are. Just because you're a good leader doesn't mean you're going to be a good legislator.
That's right.
So, but having good leadership skills is worth at least 5 points.
Which means self-control, too. If you're a good leader, you don't fly off the handle. You have total self-control.
Well, leadership skills are what that is about. There is a category later on, but but see what you just said, Robin, is really good because what has to happen is you are controlling your own scorecard.
Exactly.
You're keeping score yourself. So if that's what leadership means to you, then it's going to mean that to you, regardless of whether you're talking about candidate A or candidate B.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Number 6 on the list is management skills, specifically in dealing with people.
Yes. Self-control.
If you're a leader, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a great manager.
That's right.
And if you're a manager, you might not be in leadership position. I think many people are like the foreman, for example, at a factory. Mm-hmm. Has great management skills, but he's not the leader. He's the leader in that little group, I guess, but he's not the boss,
Right, exactly. He's
so
a
that
good
would
manager.
be dealing with people. But then there's the other management skills, number 7, and this is specifically dealing with money and fiscal responsibilities. Mm-hmm. So you would rate a candidate based on their management skills of money, because after all, there's not a whole lot that any elected official does that has nothing to do with money.
Yeah.
I mean, almost everything they do is whether they're going to spend money or tax you or do something with money, right?
Exactly.
And so that's the way our society works. So we need to know how skillful they are with money and fiscal responsibilities. Number 8 on the candidate scorecard is career experience related to the position being sought. Mm-hmm. All right, a great example would be school board.
Yes.
Okay? If you're running for the school board and you've never taught in a school, well, you might not get as many points as the person running for the school board who has taught in the schools.
Right.
So that person, and it's worth 5 points on mine anyway. You could make yours worth more, but I think it should be the same for every candidate.
Yeah, it should.
Now, if you taught, I taught guitar lessons. I don't think that's enough. Like if I was running for school board and I used that, I've taught guitar, that would be such a weak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll use myself as an example. If I was running for school board, I've never taught in a public school or even a private school. Mm-hmm. The fact that I've taught guitar to my nephew, my niece, my couple of people, right, doesn't mean I'm good at it. No, I might be good at that, but it doesn't mean I'm good at teaching and understanding what a teacher has to deal with. So somebody else would be a better candidate than me simply on that basis.
A teacher has to deal with the students, with the parents, with the administration, with other school board members, with everything.
Yeah, so career experience related to the position being sought. Knowledge of the geographical district being represented.
Oh, yeah, that's highly important.
Some of our congressional districts are weird. They're just shaped so oddly, right?
Yeah.
And when I said geographical, we should have also put demographical. So you not only need to know like what cities are in your district and who lives in those districts, but you need to know, are they poor? Are they wealthy? Where are the hot spots in town? Is
it industrial? Are they farmers?
Right.
that type of thing. You have to know every nuance.
So you might want to change number 9 to knowledge of the geographical and demographical district being represented. So that would be number 9. Number 10 on a scale of 1 to 5. How aware is the person of the appropriate tasks that need to be delegated? Awareness of appropriate tasks to be delegated. Now, what does that mean?
Yes.
What that means is this. Sometimes people get elected into office and they have an ego. And they say, I can do it. I don't need you to do it. And then you realize, well, either you've got too much on your plate and it is going to be hard for you to do that. So you need to delegate some of those things.
Yeah.
Or you're just not fit for it. You know, if I was asked to be a midwife, I would be unfit for that. I'd be scared. I wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah, right.
I would be absolutely lost. Okay. So that's a crazy example, I know, but
It's a good example. It's a real good,
Thank you.
because some
All right.
people, will pretend their way into something and they don't really know what they're doing.
okay.
Don't
So
fall for it.
So don't fall for. And what you do is you find somebody who does know.
Yeah.
Let's look at Donald Trump, for example. He has to delegate a lot of things because he doesn't know everything. And I'm not picking on him because he's Trump. I'm talking about the president.
Yeah.
Because he's a high-profile personality, whether it's Obama or Trump. Don't get stuck into that whole I hate him, I love him thing.
yeah.
I'm just talking about if the president of the United States has to build I don't want to say a wall because then it looks like Trump, has to sign a bill. Let me see. Has to get something done regarding the military. There's
Yeah.
a good example because Trump or whatever. If you haven't been in the military, now Eisenhower might have not needed to have any help with that,
Yeah.
but Trump and Obama, both of them never served in the military, as far as I know, right?
Exactly.
Or did Obama?
No, he did not.
So the point is, I'm not criticizing anybody for their life choices. I'm just saying that if you're in a position of leadership, you need to be willing to take your ego down a notch and delegate things to people who do know how to do those things.
Exactly.
That's what number 10 means. Awareness of appropriate tasks to be delegated.
And that's a sign of a great leader. You don't suck
Yeah.
everything in yourself. You make sure you get people that know what they're doing for each particular instance
Right.
and delegate.
So if you're just tuning in, we're reading from the WOCA local candidate scorecard, which you
Yep.
you can use today. You can download it or just put it on your computer. We have it on the WOCA Facebook page, and there are 20 different categories, actually 21.
This is very smart of you to create this. This is really a good thing for the voter
Yeah.
to be aware of
Yeah.
for everything that This
All right.
is wonderful.
So what you're doing, and just to recap what we're talking about in case you just tuned in, we're rating the candidates on different areas of expertise or skill that they should have. Number 11 is communication skills.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, it's worth 5 points. It's not everything. It's not going to be the thing that gets a person elected, but they should have some communication skills.
Yeah. They shouldn't be yelling at people or anything to get their point across.
The ability to
They
communicate
should chat.
just has to happen. Sometimes yelling makes more of an impression. So sometimes yelling is a communication skill.
Yeah.
But the communication skills is you have to rate them on 1 to 5. And again, Robin, what you're saying is that each of us will take that question and apply it to that candidate in a different way.
Exactly.
But that's okay, because that's what we're about. We're about being individuals and deciding who we want to vote for in the upcoming election.
And communication is making sure people know what you're talking about and listening to what the other person is talking about.
Yeah, two-way street.
That's right.
The next one is a big one for me. It still has only 5 points, but I could give this one 20 easily. Accessibility. How accessible is he or she to the general public? Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I do a radio show, and as a radio show host, I call candidates quite often to ask them if they want to be on. Just calling me back gets you a gold star. Even if you say, no, thank you, I don't want to be on. Just calling me back. Now, I'm a radio show host. What if I wasn't? What if I was just a taxi cab driver? How come I can't have access to my congressman? How come I
Exactly.
can't have access to my county commissioner? How many times have we tried to call the county commissioners, and it's not the group that's there now, so I'm not trying to pick on anybody. But Rob and I have done it. We've called no callback.
Yeah, exactly.
No callback. And
Nothing.
we're not talking statewide representatives. We're talking right here in the county.
Yeah.
How many times have we called
Local.
city councilmen? Nothing
Yeah,
back. Nothing
exactly.
back. Right?
That's right.
So if you are running for office, your accessibility score should be really high.
Yeah.
And it's just a disgrace that you serve the public, but you don't really care about the public. I used to say if I went to Washington D.C. and saw my congressman walking down the staircase, and I said to him, "What time is it?" He wouldn't give me the time of day.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's true for a lot of them. They'll just look the other way.
Oh, sure. Local level.
All right, now the next two go together, sort of. Number 13 is formal education, and number 14 is informal education. So let's talk about those two. Mm-hmm. Formal education, especially in regards to the position. Did somebody, for example, running for school board, did somebody study to be a teacher?
Yeah.
Did somebody study to have management skills? Did somebody study in school to, take care of agriculture, like the agriculture commissioner, which is Adam Putnam's position right now, right? Did they study in school the very thing that they're going to be overseeing as an elected official?
Right, exactly.
Right. Now, the next one comes from Abraham Lincoln. It's the informal education. Abraham Lincoln showed us that you don't have to go to school to be a knowledgeable person. You can read books. You can have life skills just from living. You can acquire an informal education simply from working someplace. I mean, I never went to school for radio, but I'm sure I've acquired a little bit of knowledge about this business. And so there you go. You have the two educations, the formal and the informal, and you would rate the candidate based on those two categories. Number 15. Oh, I like this one. The statesman skills or stateswoman skills.
Yeah.
Now, what is a statesman? How presentable is he? How presentable is she? And now I know I'm talking about superficial stuff, but this is 5 points. This gets 5 points.
Yeah.
Do they dress the part? Do you want a congressman that looks like he just, woke up?
Yeah.
Do you want a congressman who looks like he never brushes his teeth? Do you want a congresswoman who wears miniskirts? Maybe you do. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the point is, it's up to you to decide whether or not you think that they are a great model as a statesman. Statesmanship is not just clothing. It's also how they present themselves regarding their demeanor, regarding the way they speak, regarding the way they treat people who they don't know, who perhaps are needing a little bit of a handout. Not handout, but a hand up.
Hand up, yeah.
So there, the statesmanship or stateswomanship skills on a scale of 1 to 5, how do they do? The next one, how unimpressionable is he or she? Unimpressionable. That's the ability to not be influenced by money, power, or beauty, or any of those other superficial things. If you find somebody who's easily persuaded to do something against their own morals or against their own ethics because they're flashing money in front of them,
right?
Don't vote for that person, or at least take some points away. And then if he scores higher than everybody else, then I guess you still vote for him. But if somebody is impressionable by money, you don't want that person in office. Impressionable by power or beauty. Look at this one story we had this morning. Somebody was offering sex in exchange for information.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Well, the person who gave the information doesn't deserve to be elected into an office, and I don't remember who that was. But so how unimpressionable is he or she? They get points for being unimpressionable. You take away points for being impressionable.
That's right.
Okay. The next 4, the second to the last category here, are the 4 about concern. How much concern do they show for job opportunities?
Yeah, that's very important.
If you're in charge of a group of elected officials who are going to court FedEx, for example, to come into town, or Walmart to come into town, or an airport to be built in town. If you ever play the game SimCity, you know the importance of certain things to keep the population happy.
Exactly.
And create jobs, or at least create an economy that stimulates job creation. That's what you need to have somebody in office who can do that. You need to have somebody, what's their concern for the environment?
Yeah.
Is that important to you? whether you're a tree hugger or not, nobody wants to be, driving through dirty streets. Before they had a sanitation department in New York, there was some places where trash was literally up to the ankles. I am not making that up. I didn't live in those days, but I remember hearing about it.
Yeah.
In New York City. Yep.
I had a friend that was in the service, and he was stationed in Hawaii right after the Korean War with his family, and there were places in Hawaii that they just dumped their garbage outside on the street and everything. So
listen to Glenn Beck yesterday. Glenn Beck was talking yesterday about human feces in the street.
Yeah.
Human
exactly.
feces.
Exactly.
Now that's an environmental hazard as far as I'm concerned.
It sure is.
So an elected official needs to be concerned about the environment at least to at least 5 points worth.
Yeah.
What is the candidate's concern for equality and diversity? Are they going to be fair in what they do, regardless of your race, your religion, your age?
Exactly.
Are they going to allow people of all the colors of the rainbow to participate in the different things that they are a part of?
And all the religions, too.
Everything.
Sure,
Equality and
everything.
diversity should be a huge one. I'm giving everything 5 points, but again, you can adjust your own scorecard. And the 20th one is concern for the will of the people. It's a big one, and it's a debatable one, but here's the way what that means. If you hold a public office, and let's say 90% of the people of your constituents, 90% of them want you to vote no on Amendment 5. I just made that up, by the way. I'm not actually picking on one of the amendments that's on the ballot. But let's say 90% want you to vote no, but you feel like you should vote yes. Well, aren't you representing the people?
Exactly.
Isn't your vote supposed to represent the will of the people? So if that's important to you, then that should get some points. So the candidate's concern for the will of the people. A candidate who votes against the will of the people, and we need to think twice about putting that person into office.
Exactly.
Okay. And P.S., let's take that one and go back to number 5. Number 5 is leadership skills. So if you are a county commissioner, let's say, and you're going to vote no for let's say you're going to say yes to the cross, the connecting thing, the road.
Yes.
Okay, let's say you're going to say yes to that. It seems like 90% of the people don't want that connecting thing, right, in the county. So now, if you want to vote yes for it, but 90% of the people say no, and you vote yes, you have just voted against your constituents. You have just violated your trust. They put you in there because they felt you would represent them. Because don't forget, it is a country, we the people.
Exactly.
Okay. We the people. So go back to number 5, leadership skills. So if you feel like you disagree with your constituency, then you better get some leadership skills in action. Start holding some town meetings.
That's right.
And start saying to the constituency, listen, I know all of you don't want that road to go through Marion County. But here's why I think we should have it. And then be a leader and show them why. If you can't convince them, then either you're wrong or you're not a good leader.
Exactly.
Okay? So take the leadership and make sure you measure those leadership skills carefully, because that's where they come into play when the will of the people differs from your own will. And there are 5 bonus points for common sense.
Amen.
You just have to listen to a person talk for a little while, maybe longer than a little while, to find out whether or not they have common sense.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you gave 5 points to each one of those categories, then the total would be 105 points. Let's say candidate A had 86 points, right? Candidate B had 71 points. Well, candidate A wins.
That's right.
And that's who you vote for.
Exactly.
So if you would like the WOCA local candidate scorecard, it costs nothing. It's available online on the WOCA Facebook page. It's downloadable, and you can copy it and share it and do whatever you want with it. If you want us to, I guess we could email you. Yeah, we could do that. We could email the PDF to you. If you would like that, just send it to WOCA@WOCA.com.
Okay.
Robin is the one who gets that stuff, right? So just send it there, and we'll send you a PDF of it if you would like it, or just go to the WOCA Facebook page, and it'll be there.
Yeah, it's very easy.
So there you go. That was it. That was what we had. That was our idea, yesterday's lunchtime idea. to give to you all the WOCA local candidate scorecard. It's the same criteria that Robin and I use when we interview candidates. We alter them a little bit for the state positions.
Yeah.
And once in a while, we'll have
National.
somebody running for Senate with Congress. No, we had one for Congress yesterday.
Yes,
as a matter
we
of fact.
did. We sure did.
All right, we'll be right back. Got a fun topic on the other side of the break. We'll be right back. This is The Source, WOCA Ocala.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM.
Fox News Radio, I'm Chris Foster. President Trump on Twitter calls the fake news media the real enemy of the people and says he looks forward to a second meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Meeting with Russian diplomats in Moscow.
Vladimir Putin calling his meeting with President Trump a great success and echoing the president's complaints about American critics. Putin saying forces in the US are trying to prevent any improvement in US-Russia relations, particularly on cooperation in Syria and arms control.
Fox's Simon Owen. 3 people are burned in an explosion at the Letterkenny Army Depot in Pennsylvania. Employees say it happened in a paint shop. There was a tent collapse at a base in central California.
22 soldiers were hurt when the wind from a Black Hawk helicopter's rotor caused the tent to collapse. It happened around 9:30 last night. Most of those injuries were minor, but 4 soldiers were taken to hospitals.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Fox News. We report, you decide.
Ever wonder why Miller High Life is called the champagne of beers? Because it's a flavorful, easy drinking beer with a perfect storm of tiny champagne-like bubbles. And it's been that way since 1903.
If you've got the time,
welcome to the High Life.
We've got the beer, Miller Beer.
2018 Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Drink High Life responsibly.
It's been called shell shock, war neurosis, and battle fatigue. Today, we call it post-traumatic stress disorder, and it affects 1 out of every 5 warriors returning from battle in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Wounded Warrior Project offers comfort and support for warriors with PTSD and all other scars of war, whether those scars are visible or hidden. Find out how to help, because for warriors, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. Please visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
Tired of looking at stained carpets, dirty tile, or grout? Call Silverback Restoration, 414-5312. Make your flooring look great again. Stains, pet odors, allergies. Call Silverback Restoration, 414-5312. From serving our country to serving our community. Silverback Restoration, 414-5312. Residential and commercial. Their work is guaranteed along with your satisfaction. Check their website, silverbackrestoration.com.
Here is your 1-minute news brief from The Source. WOCA Ocala police have arrested a 17-year-old accused of shooting and killing a 54-year-old man in the Parkside Garden Apartments Tuesday night. A federal appeals court will hear arguments in a Florida lawsuit seeking disclosure of FBI files that might uncover a U.S.-based support network for some of the 9/11 high